In the last lesson we saw that every raga is associated, can be captured at a very fundamental level with a scale of ascending and descending swaras called the aroha and avaroha. And I, again to emphasize, it's just the skeleton of the raga. Now how do we flesh out the raga? What are some of the, can be called the design aspects of raga, as it were. Now some of these are that, though some notes in the raga have to be highlighted and relative to other notes. There are some swaras on which phrases may end and other swaras on which they may not end. Some swaras on which, from which phrases begin. So in this and the next video we will look at these aspects. So now when a raga includes a set of notes, every one of those notes is critical, right? It has to be included and other notes have to be kept out. It's not up to the creative musician's whim, or it's not up to a musician to say that I will skip one note or use another note. Then you're not performing Hindustani music. So if it is boop, sa sa di ga pa da pa ga re da sa, you have to use all the notes. You can't say that I am going to try and sing boop without the Gandhara or without the Devat. You can't do it. Nor can you say, let me try to bring in another note. So that sort of thing is not allowed, right? So that's very fundamental. Of course, if you are using boop to create a film song or a bhajan, then that's up to you. But when you're singing boop as in khayal or dhrupad, then that is a freedom you don't have. But though every note, as I said, is critical, you have to use it. Some notes are to be highlighted. Typically we talk of two swaras. Every raga we identify two swaras. In every raga there are two swaras which have to be highlighted. The most important swara and the next important swara. So and these are called Vadi and Samvadi. These are called Vadi and Samvadi. This is the most important, or it has to be highlighted. This is next in importance. We have certain parameters which are used in a standard description of raga. The first, of course, is aroha avroha, and then comes Vadi Samvadi. Amongst these swaras, which is the most important and which is the swara that is next in importance? In the case of bhoop, for instance, it is ga and dha. Again, Yaman, ga and ni, Gandhar and Nishan. So Yaman has a scale of, the scale of Yaman is this: sa sa ri ga ma pa da ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. This is the scale. But when we sing Yaman, it's ga re ni da ni re ga. The Gandhar is highlighted constantly. Ga ma re ga re ni re ga re ni da ni ga ni re ga ni re ga re ga ga re ga ni re da ni re ga ga sa. And ni da ni sa ni ma da ni sa da ni ma da ni sa da ni da ni re ga ni re ga sa ni da ni sa ni da ni re ga ma re ga So Ga and Ni are Vadi Samvadi for Yaman. And if you listen to some of the many compositions in Yaman, will bear it out. They will typically highlight the Ga. We will see later on the composition, every composition in Khayal especially. We have what is called the Mukhada, the first part of the first part of the composition, which lands on the first beat of the cycle, and that is the refrain basically. And that that typically, very often in many compositions, is on Ga. For instance, Yeri Ali Piya Bin, so Ni Pare Sa Gare Ga. So Gandhar is highlighted again. Aayi re milana tu hai, ga ga ni re pa ga ma re ga, or मैं वारी वारी जाऊंगी, again ga, or सुखदाता, yeah, सुखदाता सबन के शंकर सुखदाता. So we have a wide variety of compositions, and very often you find, typically, in Yaman, the composition will highlight the Gandhara right in the beginning. Now, Vadi and Samvadi, again, they are concepts that are found in medieval treatises onwards, even earlier, from the 8th century onwards itself. And they are actually part of a quartet. This a quartet of concepts, which is Vadi, Samvadi. So Vadi, Samvadi, Anuvadi, Vivadi. This is an ancient quartet of concepts, and these are they continue to be relevant. There, in the context of a raga, a Vadi is compared to the king of a realm, and the Samvadi is compared to the minister who assists the king, right? The king, it is the king's realm, right? He dominates over the realm and he rules the kingdom. And so also the Vadi swara is it dominates over the raga. And the minister, the Samvadi, is supposed to assist the king, right? And so the Samvadi assists the Vadi swara. Anuvadi is the rest of the subjects who go along with the king, strengthening his will and letting him lead the way. But Vivadi is the enemy of the state and should not be permitted into the realm, into the kingdom, into the raga. This is a verse in Sangeeta Makaranda. Vadi swarastu raja syan mantri samvadi ruchyate swaro vivadi vairi syad anuvadi cha bhrityavat. This is Sangeeta Makaranda of Narada. So, as I said, Vadi Samvadi are are part of standard descriptions of raga. So Yaman, as I said, would be described as, it has all the Shuddha swaras except Madhyam, which is Tivra, and the Gandhar, Ga is the Vadi and Ni is the Samvadi. This would be a very preliminary description of Yaman. We have another set of concepts which also have to do with the strength of swaras, but they are not, it's not the identical concept. We have this concept of Alpatva. Alpa means less, right, small. Bahu is more. In ragas, there are some swaras, sometimes, which are supposed to be very less. Their presence is very, very, very diminished, very less. I wouldn't say weak. Weak gives another idea. They are important. That that diminished presence of that swara is important. It's not weak, but it is diminished. Bahu is of course more. So Vadi and Samvadi will of course have bahutva, right? They will occur very frequently in the raga exposition. But that doesn't mean that the other swaras, so in Yaman, Ga, in Ni or Vadi and Samvadi, that doesn't mean Ri, Dha or Pa and Sa are therefore Alpa or they're diminished. No, in a raga like Yaman, every swara has bahutva, in the sense every swara has can be highlighted, but of course not at the expense of Vadi and Samvadi. Vadi and Samvadi, relatively they should be more dominant, but it doesn't mean that Re has a diminished presence or it is weak. But in a rag like Bihag, Sa Ni Sa Ga Ma Pa Ni Sa, this is the arrow. Sa Ni Da Pa, so the Dha is there. Sa Ni Da Pa, you can't, this will destroy Bihag. The Dha is just a flicker, and that flicker is important, it's critical. Pa Ga Ma Ga Sa, the Re also. Pa Ga Ma Pa Da Ga Ga Ma Pa Ma Ga Re Sa. The Re, the Re and the Dha are, they have alpatva, a flicker of it. When we come from Sa, from Ni to Pa, the Dha is a flicker. Again from Ga to Sa, the Re is a flicker. And that flicker is important. No more, no less. And that is Re and the Re and the Dha are supposed to have alpatva in Bihag. So in medieval descriptions of raga, we have this concept of amsha, which is the same as the Vadi. Amsha is supposed to be the most important swara in the raga, and that is what we speak of as the Vadi. We also have references to categories of Graha and nyasa in the ancient treatises. So amsha, which is equivalent to the concept of Vadi. We also have this Graha and nyasa. These are all categories found in medieval texts onwards, and they continue to be of significance. Graha is the swara on which phrases may begin. Right, in contemporary music, that's we describe Graha as the swara or the notes. There are a few notes on which phrases may begin. There are some notes on which they may not begin. Right? So again, to take Bihag, though typically phrases would begin with Ni and Ga. Sa Ni Sa Ga Ma Ga Ni Pa Ni Sa Pa Ga Ma Ga Sa Sa Ga Ma Ga Pa Ga Ma Ga. That is more rare. Sa Ni Sa Ma Ga Ni Sa Ga Ma Pa Ga Ma Ga Sa Ga Ma Pa Ni Sa. This is not that appropriate. It's not, it won't be, it's not a crime to sing it, but the better way is to start the phrase on Ni. Again, Ga Ma Pa Ni Sa Ni Pa. That is better than Ma Pa Ni Sa. This is almost doesn't sound right. Ma Pa Ni Sa. This, though, because it's part of the aroha, it should be all right, but doesn't really bring out the flavor of the rag. You have to start on Ga or Ni, preferably, or Pa. Not so much on Sa and Ma. Those are not preferred Graha swaras, swaras on which the phrases may begin. Now, nyasa swara is also a very important category where phrases may end. So nyasa swara, because it's where phrases end, typically that note would be highlighted, right? Because when you rather than the note on which you begin phrases, because that's just going to be the beginning of the phrase, but where you end, that is going to highlight that swara. So nyasa swara and Vadi are sometimes quite the same, but again the concepts are different. We have this two ragas which are quite different, but they sound very alike, Tilakamud and desh. They have a lot in common, but one of the very important distinguishing features is this nyasa swara. So Tilakamud, the nyasa swara is often the sa after a prominent ga, right? Pani sa re ga sa ga re sa. The re is there, but just a flicker. So the sa is the nyasa swara, or the swara on which it ends. Re ma ga sa re pa ma ga re sa pa ni sa re ma ga sa. Whereas desh, the same melodic region, melodic area. Ni sa re ma pa ma ga re. You stop on the re. Re is a very important nyasa swara. Re ma ga re sa ni sa re ma pa ni sa re ga pa ga re ga ni sa re ma pa da ma ga re. So this nyasa swara is actually a very important consideration in handling the swaras in a raga. So we will listen to a composition in desh. Desh is also associated with monsoon. There are many compositions in desh that describe the monsoon, and this is also one such. It says the woman in this is describing the gathering clouds, the lightning and the thunder, and her desire to be with her beloved.